Hi everybody, it's That's a Mommy here. I am starting my first YouTube tutorial on how to applique. It's really extremely easy. I threw together this nerdy owl for my daughter's quilt in about 45 minutes, and I'm going to show you some basic steps how to get started, and we'll go from there. I wanted to first show you a couple of really easy tools that I use when I'm appliquing. I will not applique at all without Fusible Webs adhesive. It doesn't really matter what brand you prefer to use. This one's my favorite. This one is a light, easy steam, and it's great. It doesn't gum up the needle in the sewing machine, which is, of course, my #1 concern. You can see machine safe. Second, of course, your quilting pad. I recommend one at least the size of a dinner mat. I can quilt up to a queen size with this. You're going to, of course, need your rulers. I just recently got this Omni Arc. I haven't used it fully to its abilities. I prefer it because it is a lot thicker than my other one. This one here I got about $6 at Walmart. This one was on sale 50% off at Joann's for $14. The reason I prefer the thicker one is because this one does cut. The edges do get cut when I'm using my rotary cutter, which again is another extremely needed tool when quilting. And of course with applique, I mostly use my scissors to cut. There are times if I'm going to applique large strips, I will use my rotary cutter, but I prefer to use my scissors. Now with the applique papers, they come in about 5 a pack, sometimes more. I always begin, there's two sides, there's a shiny side and there's a flat side, like for instance like a piece of paper. I always draw my designs directly onto this paper. I do that, and you'll understand why, because on the other side there are typically bumps that come out very easily. However, it's harder to draw on them, and I cannot use a pencil on this side. So on the other side, you're going to begin by drawing your design. So first you want to go ahead and take that matte side again like we talked about and stencil out or draw a design. I prefer to freehand draw them. It's a lot easier and I like the look it gives. I here drew the center of a flower, and I've already pre-cut and pre-drawn out the petals that are going to go around it. For your next step, you're going to cut roughly around the edges. I don't like to do exactly on the edges because it makes it a little bit harder and you are going to experience some fraying of the fabric. It can take some practice to score it. It usually is pretty easy. Sometimes you could score all the way through and you want to be very careful that you don't do that. Now again, on the wrong side of the fabric, we're going to place, of course I like to use the corner and waste as little as possible. And go ahead and flatten it out. It's going to stick to there just like a sticker. Like I said, cut and paste, pretty darn easy. Then you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut around your trace drawing. I do like to have a little on the edges, again like I said, so it doesn't fray, and you will notice a huge difference. Really important if you're going to be appliquing letters, you're going to want to do them backwards. I found that out the first time I did applique the hard way when I had letters upside down on the wrong side of the fabric, showing the bottom up or backwards. So again, make sure that your fabric is on the wrong side. If you are doing letters, do them backwards. Now back over here at my mat, I've cut off the scraps, and of course I have this other sticky side with the paper over it. So when I am ready to put this on the fabric, I score it again, peel off the paper, and stick it directly into the fabric. I went ahead and cut some extra petals, you can see. And they're very easy. I don't like to do them all very precise. I kind of like the childlikeness to them, the playfulness, to do it a little off-center, not a perfect circle, or just not so perfect. Alright, so here we are. I have my daughter's name spelled out. I'm going to go ahead and cut out a pink applique heart to match one of these pinks for the dot of the eye. And again, I've already scored these, stuck them to the fabric, and you just stick them on like such. They're pretty easy to remove unless you use a heavier duty. Again, I like to use the light because I am not perfect. I make mistakes, and I want to be able to remove that and put it back on. Alright, now when I'm done placing everything where I'd like it, I'm going to take it over to the ironing board. Do not iron before, and iron out all the wrinkles, make sure everything's nice and flat. You can go ahead and do a zigzag stitch around the edges. I see that a lot more often. I'll probably do a hot pink zigzag stitch on here. For my smaller pieces like the flowers, I just do a rough straight stitch around In some of the areas, I might do the free motion quilting with its own design. Don't forget to do the edges because it will fray or will come off if it's not sewn over. A very common mistake I see is someone will do their free motion and will have peeling on the edges that weren't sewn down. On baby quilts or children's quilts, I like a little bit of fraying, but I get pretty darn close to there. I will make my quilt sandwich. I will use a basting spray. I will put the batting on the inside and then this fabric as the backing. And for the final free motion quilt, I like to do either roses, I like to do a lot of different designs, and you can expect a tutorial coming back on that soon. So have fun, get to appliquing, and that has been a tutorial from That's So Mommy. I wish you luck, and feel free to comment, post, ask questions. I'm always here to help, and good luck.